Today's bold chapter is about a promise so perfect it was never meant to be questioned. A revolution in medicine built on faith in one woman's vision and destroyed by the truth she tried to bury. It was the story everyone wanted to believe, that a single drop of blood could diagnose dozens of diseases. No needles, no fear, no waiting. It was science fiction, rebranded as science fact. Behind it all stood Elizabeth Holmes. She dressed like Steve Jobs. She spoke like a prophet. She raised billions. She seduced the media, and she fooled some of the smartest people alive. But this is not just the story of a charismatic founder and a failed device. This is the story of how ambition, unchecked by truth, becomes something else, a machine of deception. Every life is a story, but some are unbelievable. This is Bold Chapter. Chapter 1, The One-Drop Dream. Elizabeth Holmes dropped out of Stanford University at 19. She studied chemical engineering, but her passion wasn't science, it was impact. Her idea? A sleek, compact machine that could run over 200 medical tests from a single finger prick of blood. She named it Edison, after the famous inventor. Her company? Theranos, a fusion of therapy and diagnosis. It was bold, it was visionary, it was impossible. Doctors warned it couldn't be done. Scientists questioned her secrecy. But Holmes wasn't building a product, she was building a narrative. And in Silicon Valley, narrative is everything. Theranos quickly evolved into a fortress of ambition. Holmes had a gift, not for science, but for persuasion. She reframed doubt as jealousy, and uncertainty as opportunity. Her youth became her strength. Her lack of experience became her proof of disruption. As she refined her pitch, Holmes didn't just aim to disrupt diagnostics. She aimed to own it. The press followed. TV spots, magazine covers, and keynote appearances fueled her myth. Chapter 2, The Myth of a Messiah. Holmes didn't just pitch a technology, she performed a character, a low, calculated voice, minimalist black outfits, eyes wide, barely blinking. She cast herself as the female Steve Jobs, relentless, visionary, irreplaceable. Investors couldn't resist. Rupert Murdoch invested $125 million. Henry Kissinger joined the board. General James Mattis called her a national asset. By 2014, Theranos was valued at $9 billion, as Elizabeth Holmes was the world's youngest self-made female billionaire. And yet, no one, not the board, not investors, not even partners, was allowed to see what was inside the Edison. Because inside was nothing. The machine didn't work, and Holmes knew it. But the narrative was too powerful to stop. Despite constant test failures, Holmes kept expanding. Partnerships with Safeway and Walgreens went forward. Theranos became a Silicon Valley darling, despite being scientifically bankrupt. Chapter 3, The Machine That Lied. The Edison device consistently failed lab validation. It gave inconsistent readings. It couldn't replicate results. So what did Theranos do? They faked it. Live demos were staged using pre-recorded data. Patient samples were secretly tested using commercial Siemens machines in the back room. Theranos employees were compartmentalized. Many didn't know what the others were working on. Some thought they were building something real, but the top executives knew. When Theranos partnered with Walgreens, the deception scaled. Real patients began relying on fraudulent tests. A woman was told she had cervical cancer. She didn't. A man was told he was HIV positive. He wasn't. Some got false hope, others got panic. People made life decisions based on lies. This wasn't a failed app. This was a public health disaster hidden behind a pitch deck. At its peak, Theranos claimed its tests were in use by the US military. It wasn't true, but few questioned it, because the story was more valuable than the facts. Chapter 4, The Fortress of Fear. Inside Theranos, a culture of fear prevailed. Employees were watched. Security teams monitored labs. Emails were filtered. Conversations were discouraged. NDAs were airtight. Whistleblowers were tracked. Tyler Schultz, grandson of board member George Schultz, discovered the truth. He spoke to the Wall Street Journal. He was followed, threatened, disowned by his own family. The company even hired private investigators to monitor former staff. People were scared not just of losing their jobs, but of being ruined. Elizabeth Holmes didn't just sell deception, she enforced it. She had created not a lab, but a cult, one where questioning the leader meant exile. Hey, you're here for bold stories, and we've got plenty more coming. Smash that like button, follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and drop a comment to tell us what hit you hardest in this episode. And if you want to ride with us all the way to the top, subscribe right now. Let's make this the fastest growing channel of 2025. It's a community, and you're part of it. Chapter 5, The Collapse. In 2015, John Carreyrou from the Wall Street Journal broke the story. His investigation, based on internal documents and whistleblower testimonies, revealed the scale of the fraud. The FDA, CMS, and SEC launched investigations. Walgreens suspended its partnership. Investors filed lawsuits. Theranos unraveled quickly. In 2018, Holmes and COO Sunny Balwani were charged with multiple counts of wire fraud and conspiracy. In court, Holmes claimed she never intended to deceive, that she believed in the mission, that Silicon Valley rewards bold vision. But jurors saw something else, a person who risked lives to protect a story. In 2022, Holmes was convicted on 4 counts of fraud. In 2023, she reported to federal prison. The empire she built on lies had finally fallen, and yet to this day, some still believe she had good intentions. Proof of how powerful a story can be. Chapter 6, The Culture That Let Her Thrive. Theranos was not just a product of its founder, it was a reflection of an entire system. A system that values speed over safety, charisma over competence, narrative over data. Silicon Valley is built on belief, on the idea that the next breakthrough is always just around the corner. Founders are expected to dream big. Investors are trained to fear missing out. In that environment, skepticism is a liability. Theranos exploited that to perfection. It wasn't just a tech failure, it was a failure of journalism, governance, ethics, and curiosity. Holmes didn't hack the system. She followed its incentives to the edge. And the system applauded until it didn't. Today, dozens of startups still pitch medical tech with little more than a concept slide. And the money still flows. Outro. Another chapter closed. But the story is far from over. Subscribe to Bold Chapter and never miss what's next. What we choose to believe. Theranos is gone. Its machine never worked. Its founder is behind bars. But the illusion it sold, that still lives on. Because sometimes we're not tricked by others, we trick ourselves. We want the miracle, we crave the shortcut. We embrace the impossible, as long as it sounds convincing. And in a world where hope is monetized, truth often arrives last. It's almost poetic that Holmes named her machine Edison, a name borrowed from a man who once profited off the ideas of Nikola Tesla. Just like her namesake, she didn't have to invent the future. She just had to own the spotlight long enough to sell it. The lesson? Not every symbol of innovation is built on brilliance. Some are built on noise. Because when a lie comes wrapped in the right story, even the most brilliant minds forget to ask the right questions. This was today's Bold Chapter.